All right, everyone. Hello and welcome to the weekly training. I know I'm here in a different day, but I hope that you are able to join me live or catch this replay. Let me know either way if you're here live or if you're catching the replay, so I know you're here. I wanted to show up today as a business coach that's been forced to learn how to write copy. Here's my caveat I want to say right from the beginning before I get into the 3 steps to writing copy that converts. The first thing is I firmly believe in hiring a copywriter for a lot of projects. As much as you can afford, hiring a copywriter is going to guarantee that you have better copy than if you write it yourself. I don't know if guarantee is a strong word, but I would hope so. So copywriters have been trained, they've studied marketing, they understand, trigger words, emotional buying techniques, things like that. And I honor the experience that they bring to the table. And I realized if I stayed in the disempowered state that said, I'm not good at writing copy, therefore I cannot write copy, I was going to really struggle, right? That was going to get very expensive, for example. And I realized a lot of times when I'm just writing from my heart, good copy comes across. I'm often told that the emails that I write really connect with people, and it serves them in some way. So while I'll hire a copywriter for definitely my sales pages, sometimes even promo emails, things that I think really matter in terms of getting people into your launch and that kind of thing. You don't want to mess around with those things. But when it comes to writing titles and bullet points and emails and other types of copy, ad copy, things like that, I want to encourage you to sort of take a stab at it, to trust that this is something you can learn. Just like you can learn sales, you can also learn marketing. So I wanted to tell you a couple resources that I love. And of course, I forgot to have them here at my desk, but I'm going to reach for one right here. This guy taught me a lot when I first was studying copy. This was the book I went to, How to Write Copy That Sells by Ray Edwards. Not a hefty book. You can read it in a weekend. But I'm going to share some of his framework today. And I just can't recommend enough to go pick this book up. I also ended up getting, it's not going to show well anyway, but I got something from Sean Vosler, his name is. I think it's called Increase Academy or something like that. And he has this kind of, 7-figure marketing copy workbook that really helps create hot titles, hot bullet points, hot hooks, and things like that. So if I'm sitting down to write copy and I've got this kind of blank page and kind of blank brain, like, I don't know what to do here, a lot of times I can open up one of these resources and just model what I see there. So if I see a title that looks good, I'll model that title, for example. Another book that I really just grabbed and I'm still digging into, Web Copy That Sells, because a lot of, I think, what Ray was writing, could even, dare I say, date back to the days of sales letters that you would actually mail, right? Where this is really, and it's a hefty book, right? But it's really talking about how to write specifically e-newsletters, e-zines, how to write search engine optimized SEO articles, how to write ad copy, things like that. So I thought that was a good resource to have as well. So those are 3 resources that I use myself, I recommend to our clients. And if you're someone that's ready to stop saying, I'm not very good at this, and instead start saying, I need to learn this, I can't recommend enough to get some resources and really start studying it. Okay, so I wanted to share with you 3 steps to writing copy that converts. First of all, let's just talk about, what kind of copy we're even talking about here, because of course at the Launch Squad, we're teaching about launching, and there's a ton of copy that you need to write when it comes to your launch, right? First of all, you're writing copy that's going to lead people into your buyer journey. And a lot of that is going to be free content. So it's writing copy in your free gift. It's writing blog posts. It's writing video scripts. It's writing social media post copy. It's writing emails that agitate the problem, talk about the solution, talk about the frustrations, the symptoms, and all that, right? And then in the launch, you've got, launch promo copy for emails. You've got launch specific promo copy for the landing page, the thank you page. You've got welcome emails to write, right? Then you get into the launch, you've got to write your launch content. You've got to write your sales emails. You've got to write your sales page or hire for that, which we always suggest. You've got to write ad copy, right? So there's just tons of things that you've got to be writing. Sometimes it takes a paragraph form. Sometimes you might take an hour drafting an incredible title, right? Sometimes one of the things we recommend when you're launching is if somebody, if you've started putting your promo out there and you've got your landing page and you can see percentage wise, of the total number of leads that landed on this page, I'm only getting a 10 to 15% opt-in. Well, that tells you right there's something not working on the page. It could be the image, it could be the colors, it could be your copy, it could be your title, it could be that you don't have enough positioning. We just simply don't know. But I would ask those questions. Like when you look at it, is your positioning there? Is it clear who it's for and what's happening, for it? And so you may spend an hour reworking the title or reworking the subtitle or looking at your bullet points and seeing how can you make these better. So these are things that develop over time. And it's not something that you're going to kind of do one and done and never look at again. That's a mistake. You want to understand that you can consistently write better copy. And the only way you're going to do that is by, you guessed it, writing copy. It's awesome to read books, right? It's awesome to understand from other people, from pros, marketing pros, how to write really good copy that hooks people. But at the end of the day, we can read about and learn about things, but until you're doing it yourself, you're going to not necessarily master it, right? So the first step in writing copy that converts is really knowing who you're talking to. So I preach, promote, beg you to do market research, right? Market research interviews are just the fastest way for you to understand your ideal client at a deep, deep level so that you can write copy and create programs that attract them to you because they want exactly what you're offering because you know what they're offering because you've interviewed them, right? And so number one is knowing who you're talking to and having that deep understanding and the data that backs it up so that you have right in front of you. And one of our processes in the Launch Squad is, we give them a list of questions to ask and how to compile the data. But at the end of the day, they're putting it into columns that are like, this is their pain point. Right? This is their biggest challenge. This is their fear. This is how they feel about it. Right. And then this is what they want instead. And then just as a self note, this is what I offer to help that. Because a lot of times people will go, well, is that what I offer? So I just answer the question with, I've got a template for that, a program for that, a formula for that. And if not, it's a gaping hole of something that I need to create. So you, by doing market research, know exactly who you're talking to and you know the pain points and you know the desires. So a story that I like to share is when I did market research, when I was selling sales coaching. And one of the questions I asked was, what will having that do for you? If you learn how to really master your sales, what will having that do for you? And sometimes you have to ask, and then what? Because they'll say, my life will be way better. Awesome. Tell me more. Right. And then what? And then what? So, well, then I'm going to make more money. Awesome. Tell me more. And then what? And then I'll be able to retire my husband early. I had, maybe 4 people say that out of 7 interviews in the same week. And it just like was such an aha for me because I wasn't married. I had never been married, and that was never going to be part of my marketing unless I heard someone else say it. It just wasn't on my radar that somebody would want to do that. Right. So that's just a really good example of writing copy that converts. I brought that into one of my, I'm trying to turn off these notifications. I don't know how to do it. Sorry if you hear that. I brought that into one of my sales pages, so that you can, retire your husband early. If that's something you'd like to do, take that cruise vacation you've had your eye on, right? Like I brought in some of these realistic kind of fairy tale dreams that people had, but they're going to become realistic dreams because they were going to learn how to sell better. And I had people say, oh my God, when I read that part about retiring your husband early, I knew this was the program for me. Like that was something that I've always been, saying I wanted to do. And so you guys, I'm telling you, market research nails this part of knowing who you're talking to, what they want, what matters to them. Most importantly, why would they choose to invest in this? That needs to be wrapped into your copy. The next step in writing copy that converts is getting inspired by other people's copy. Now, I am not saying copy someone's copy. Okay. I think that is really low. I have had people steal images from me. I've had people copy my copy like verbatim, or just kind of take my idea and regurgitate it the same day I posted it. I've seen it all. That is not what I'm suggesting. What I am suggesting is now when you see other people launching, read their sales page. Go back and look at some of their social media posts that they did before their launch. Read their emails and ask yourself, did this email get me to want to click into the event? Right? Because everything that we're doing in marketing is causing, hopefully, we're causing them to take the next step. Marketing is all about the next step. When you write your subject line, the only purpose of the subject line is to get them to open the email, right? The purpose of sending an email is to get them to read it. So in order to read it, we have to have a pretty good hook in the subject line to pique their curiosity and make them open the email. So you can look at your email open rates and you can judge whether or not you had a good subject line, in part based on that open rate. And then you get into the email and you're likely giving them a call to action. Sometimes it's a direct sales call to action, like book a call, buy my course. Other times it's homework. It's an activity or an action step that you're encouraging them to do. It is still a call to action. And when people take your call to action and do something with it and let you know about that, whether your call to action is download my free thing, of course you're going to know because they downloaded it and you're going to get that notification in your email marketing system. But if you simply say, hit reply and let me know if this email resonated with you, or let me know what your thoughts are about this, or what's your plan for Black Friday sales, or something like that. What's your opinion for staying open, during the Christmas season, right? Not everybody celebrates Christmas, but if you celebrate Christmas and you want to close, or do you want to stay open, like what's your opinion? So just simply saying, reply to this email is getting them to do what you say. And it's also getting you to realize, oh, the copy I wrote converted. They did what I asked them to do. They actually replied, right? But the point I'm saying here is to get inspired by reading other people's copy. So if you're going to join someone else's launch, I want you to take a step back and say, what in this person's email made me say, ooh, I want that event? right? Was it a promise? Was it a title? Is it just the absolute perfect thing? Was it because your friend told you to do it, right? Like what inspired your action? And then just look at the copy for that entire launch. How do they agitate the problem? What, right? You can social media stalk them. But read every email. If you think the emails are good, I like to either screenshot or highlight, copy and paste and pop it into a Google Doc called swipe files. And I just like to read really good emails that were well written to inspire me to write my really good emails, especially for launch time, right? A lot of times you can pick up, oh, here they agitated the problem and then they introduced the solution. And now they're talking about, right, the transformation. So if you can kind of outline how they wrote that email, now you have an outline to write your email, right? Because this was email that converted. Okay, so really get inspired by reading other people's copy. And I don't want you to copy it verbatim, but I want you to model after it. One of the tools that a coach that I worked with had helped me do was we went onto Amazon and we pretended to search for book. Well, we didn't pretend. We searched for books as if I was my ideal client. So we searched the like keyword search of, how to sell better, for example, right? How to get better at sales, how to increase my sales. We played with a few of those. And then we found books that were solving that problem. And then we would take a look at the title because guess what? The publishing company did a heck of a lot more market research than what we can do, right? And so if they chose a specific word in the title, maybe it's because their market research said that was a really good word. That word is what people are looking for, right? And so we just kind of made word banks. So we were copying titles, but then just pulling words from the title's word bank. And then, if the title said, get transformation, move from, blah to blah. Now I had a word bank of words that I could pick from and to draft my own title. And I did that for the very first interview series or summit that I held. I remember that's how we created my title together. So in getting inspired by other people's copy is the second step to writing copy that converts. And the third step, which I'm not going to go into too much detail because I really want you to just buy the book and I want to give this guy all the credit in the world that he deserves. But it's the pastor framework. So it's the word PASTOR, pastor. As a person who grew up Catholic, I was like the pastor of the church. But no, the pastor is kind of the shepherd, right? And so it's like, how can you get your flock to come and follow you? So he used that word pastor as an acronym to talk about the components that you need from his framework to write copy that converts. So let me just go over quickly what those mean. Each of those letters, I'll go over real quick. And then if you've got any questions, let me know. But I really just suggest getting the book because he breaks it down for you in such a wonderful way. But P stands for three words: person, problem, and pain. Now, you hear Jeffrey and I talk about that all the time, right? Like most of marketing is going to start with the pain. It doesn't always have to, but if we're going to be inspired to buy, we need to hurt enough to invest in buying the thing, right? Especially if we're talking several $1,000s, even $1,000, right? Some people have a threshold. I was just telling a story today where I looked at somebody's, like what they did, and it was a single session. And I thought in my head, oh, like based on what they said they did, I'd probably pay about $300 for that. So I'm going to reach out and ask how much it is. But my threshold based on what this person said it was about $300. Is what I wanted to spend. And it turned out to be $1,000, right? So like I need more information, or I need to experience more pain for the thing she's solving in order for me to elevate from the $300 threshold I was at up to $1,000, right? I need to experience some pain here to make me think that that's worth it. So the person, the problem, the pain. Of course, the person, you all know, if you're not speaking directly to a specific group, a specific target audience, your message won't land on anybody. So I got that, back in the day from Seth Godin, like if you're speaking to everyone, you're speaking no one. So you've got to be able to call out the person, the niche, the kind of demographic group. Okay, A, in the word pastor, we've got P-A. A is amplify and aspirations. I would also choose the word agitate here. So when he says amplify, he's like, amplify their frustrations. Put it in their face. Like it's almost like this fire hydrant, fire hose of like, all this stuff is happening to you. You've got to amplify the pain so that they're moving from that threshold of in my case, $300 to $1,000. Amplify so that I can jump up in the value that you're providing. And then the aspirations so that you're not always focused on just the problems. You want to talk about what would be possible if you could, right? What if you could solve da 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 and you get X, Y, Z? What would life be like then, right? And so amplify, agitate, and talk about the aspirations of what they're looking for. Okay, the S in the word pastor has 3 words attached: story, solution, and system. So you want to be able to tell a really good story. And I think he even talks about being the origin story. What's the story that got you from point A to point B? You've got to talk about that in your copy. Like, I get it. I was there too. And this is what I did. And this thing I'm about to ask you to do is what I did. Join me. So you've got to have a story around it. Of course, you need to talk about the solution that they desire, which you would get from your market research. And then if you have a system or a framework, people trust you more. I don't know how many people I've hired in the past, and I'm much better at discerning who I'll hire these days. But in the past, if their marketing was good, I said yes. I spent a lot of money on programs, and I would have these mentors that would talk in circles, and they really didn't have any sort of system. And for me, I'm very, I don't know if I'm type A, but I'm just very organized. I'm very linear and I'm very structured. And so when people talk to me in circles, it drives me nuts. I want a framework. I want to know what's coming first and second and third. I want a handout. I want that on paper so I can write it down, right? And so people appreciate knowing that you have a system, and you want to talk about your system in your copy. Okay, so we've done PAS. We're on T for the word pastor. T stands for, he says 2 words, transformation and testimony. So I know you already know what those mean. You want to speak to the transformation, which is not just the solution. If you think about somebody complaining about a headache, right? The problem is the headache. The solution is to get free from pain. What's the transformation on the other side when you're free from pain, right? And that it's like talking about the benefits, what's possible on the other side of that. So talking about the transformation that's ready for them, ready to be chosen by them. And then testimony, meaning you need other people to raise their hand and say, hey, this person right here is phenomenal, right? They helped me with XYZ. So you want to be able to show testimonials, give little blurbs of testimonials anywhere, right? On social media, you might pop it into an ad. You might, I would definitely put it inside emails. I would put it on the landing page for my live event. And there are going to be different testimonials, not necessarily, oh, Katie was an amazing one-to-one coach in an email, because I'm not inviting them to one-to-one coaching with me. I'm inviting them to an event. So I'm going to want a testimonial that talks about the event someone did with me in the past. And they'll say, my gosh, this event gave me so much knowledge. I couldn't believe it was free, right? That kind of thing. So you want testimonials that match what you're talking about, not just how awesome you are. We all know you're awesome. All right, so that's the T in the word pastor. So we've got two more letters, O and R. O stands for offer, my most favorite word when it comes to, I don't know, is it offer or sales? What's my favorite? To me, it means the same thing. Hopefully, if your offer is good, you're going to get a bunch of sales, right? But you have to be able to talk about your offer in a way that converts, right? And so when you're writing your emails, you're going to have to model how other people are doing it, talk to specifically your group of people, and get them to take the action from the email. What's the action from the email? It's not necessarily to buy your program, although that's ultimately the end result. The action from the email is to click to the sales page, right? And so you've got to learn how to talk about your offer in a way that piques curiosity. And then the R in the word pastor is response. And when it comes to, excuse me, you want to get, when it comes to making an offer, you want to get a response back from them. And a lot of times you have to tell them it's decision time, right? It's time to decide if you want to stay right where you are or you want to come with me into this next iteration of life, of business, of health, right? But that they have to respond. A lot of times I'll say, choosing not to make a decision is making a decision, right? And so you're looking for a response to your copy, not just to your program, remember, right? But the response, the call to action, do they respond to your call to action? Do they open your email? Do they click to the sales page? Do they respond to your emails? Do they comment on your lives? Do they reply to your posts? Do they answer your DMs, right? All of these things are ways that they can respond and that you're asking for a response. And so a lot of times we'll call that the call to action. What's the call to action to get them to respond to what you're putting out there? All right, so hopefully these 3 steps to writing copy that converts gets you to a place of really inspiration. Again, I am not suggesting that you always write your own copy. I think hiring a professional copywriter is one of the best things you can do when it comes to putting your offer out there. And when you hire someone to write your sales page for you, you get to utilize so much of what they wrote as subject lines and titles and bullets and emails and all the things. So I love investing in that sales page. But there's a lot more copy that you have to write. And we all know you would go broke if you hired a professional copywriter for everything. And to me, that's a very disempowering place to be. To have the belief that you cannot write copy is disempowering. It does not serve you. And as a business owner, it's your responsibility to learn skills for which you will hire later. But for now, you probably want to learn the skill and try to get good at it so that you can recognize good copy from not good copy. And, modeling other people's, reading other people's is a really great way to get started. All right, let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I've got to hop to a meeting, but I will come back and read what you have to say on Facebook. I hope you have a lovely afternoon, and I will see you next week. All right, bye.